Good morning and welcome to the Morning Scoop for Friday, August 6th. This is your daily Buckeye fix. I'm Tom Orr. The Minnesota game is in 27 days. The game against Michigan in 113 days. We will be back out at Ohio State football practice a little later on this morning. Mark Givler, Tony Gerderman, and I will all have all sorts of reporting from the Woody coming up all day long on BuckeyeScoop.com. Photos, videos, interviews with Kerry Combs, the defensive backs, much, much more. Lots of practice observations. Football season, we are really kicking into high gear for as we ramp up towards football season. So that's exciting for us, and I sure hope that's exciting for you guys as well. But before we get out there, I wanted to talk about some recruiting news involving those defensive backs. My guest today is Buckeye Scoop recruiting analyst Bill Greene, not Mark Givler, Bill Greene. He just wrote a really interesting and insightful edition of his bank blog for the Buckeye Scoop members. I wanted to have him come on and discuss a few items from there. So, Bill, thank you for joining me.
Glad to be here, Tom.
Sorry, we got Mark on the brain. We'll be seeing Mark on Friday morning. We're not to Mark yet. I did talk to Mark on the Morning Scoop on earlier in the week about the decommitment of Jaheim Singletary. It doesn't sound like he's too likely to end up back in the class, but even without him, there could be another 5-star cornerback coming back on the market pretty soon, Damani Jackson. Let people know what you're hearing about him.
Yeah, I mean, he has said he wants to take an official visit to Ohio State, probably for the Oregon game. You bring him in with open arms and you do what Ohio State does when they get kids on campus for official visits. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think Jaheim Singletary's coming back. I've been writing about this for probably 6 weeks, that the term I used was concerned, because that was kind of the feeling I got from Ohio State, that they were concerned that Jaheim was heading out the door. Florida, Georgia, Miami. He was in constant contact with all three of those schools. I could see him committing to Miami pretty soon and then decommitting from them later, and maybe ending up at Georgia or Florida. Maybe back at Ohio State. You never know. I mean, he's an ultimate game player. He loves his stuff, even though he doesn't talk to the media, but he gets talked about in the media. So realistically, Ohio State replaced Jaheim Singletary with Terrence Brooks. They knew this was coming. So now, would they take Damani Jackson or Will Johnson or Denver Harris? Heck yeah, they would take him. There's a need at DB. I think they filled that need at DB really well with this class. Now they got to point to those safeties, Zion Branch, Xavier Nwankpa. I think they can get both of them. They definitely got to get one of them for sure. But, I think they're in really great shape DB-wise. When you look at what they put on the field against Alabama and how they played to where I think they are today going forward in the future, I think Kerry Combs basically solved that problem all by himself. I think DB is in great shape going forward. So I think it was a need. This class was huge. They had to land not just quality, which they've got, but they needed quantity. They needed a lot of guys. And they got him. So, see what happens with Damani Jackson, but playing with house money at this point, when they got Brooks, that really kind of made up for the loss of Singletary.
And, whether or not they get Singletary back, whether or not they can land Jackson, you mentioned Brooks. They've also got Ryan Turner, Jair Brown in the class. There have been questions. There have been questions there about exactly how solid those commitments are. What are you hearing about those two guys right now?
Yeah, Ryan Turner was flirting with Florida. There's no doubt about it. It didn't really get out in the media all that much. There's a family connection there with the Florida staff. I think that one is pretty well put to bed from the Florida aspect. I don't think there's any confidence on the Florida side at all, where, maybe a month ago, there was a lot of confidence on the Florida side that Ryan was looking at, Terrence Brooks maybe coming in, Jaheim Singletary coming in, like, where do I fit in with all these dudes? And when we were at camp and we did that interview with my two Florida insiders, they were the ones that told me, hey, that kid's at Florida right now. No one knows, but I know he's at Florida with his family. So I think everything is kind of fallen into place with Ryan. And the extra bonus there is that, you solidify Ryan Turner, and it just puts you in that much better shape for Kenyatta Jackson, the defensive end. Keep hearing if those two are, they want to play in college together. if it can work out that each guy ends up at a school he wants to be at. And I think Ohio State could end up being that school for both. Jair Brown, I think he was in a similar situation as Devontae Smith last year when, Devontae saw Hancock, J.K. Johnson, and he was like, man, I don't know if this works for me. So depth chart concerned as Devontae was, he headed off to Alabama, which doesn't really make sense to me. If you're concerned with depth chart, why you would go there, but he did. And I think Jair was kind of in that same boat, seeing, oh my God, it's Singletary, Brooks, maybe Damani Jackson, Ryan Turner, Kai Stokes. I think that's kind of calmed down now. I think, now if you add Damani Jackson or Will Johnson or something like that late, is that going to shake up Jair Brown? Possibly, but you'll cross that bridge when you get to it. For now, I think the DB room is pretty well settled, and you concentrate on going after those safeties.
Yeah, a lot can obviously change between now and early signing day. And one great example of that is Quinn Ewers. He was supposed to be the keystone of the class of 2022, and all of a sudden, ta-da, he's reclassifying to 2021. We'll be at Ohio State very soon. And as soon as that happened, there was this immediate response from a lot of people wondering if that potentially opened the door again with Drew Allar. If that name sounds familiar, very, very strong 2022 quarterback prospect out of Bill's neck of the woods up in Northeast Ohio. Could he be the only, the only guy the Buckeyes take next year? Because, he wasn't going to come and be in the same class as Ewers. Did Ewers leaving open the door there? He's currently committed to Penn State. So what are you hearing about the likelihood of Drew Allar potentially opening things back up again?
Yeah, I did some snooping around there. I think Drew is so happy with Penn State. He has a great connection with Mike Yursich, as the quarterback coach at Penn State. Mike was at Ohio State for, 1 year, I believe. Great reputation as the developer of quarterbacks. And Drew, I think, can see that he's probably going to be the backup at Penn State this year. And he's got a clear path to the field in 2022. He has great relationships with the coaches, very comfortable with Penn State and the plan they've laid out for him. I just don't think Drew would be willing to come bump heads with the four guys at Ohio State right now when he's got a clear roadmap right to the field, and I think will end up being right to the NFL. If this was not a Drew or a Quinn Ewers year, I think Drew Allar would have got the call from Ohio State, would have got the offer from Ohio State because he's that good. So, but I don't think we're going to see Drew Allar flip from Penn State to Ohio State.
All right, last guy I wanted to ask you about. We have talked a lot about Richard Young over the last few months, just an elite running back in the class of 2023 out of Florida. He's someone that Mark has been in close contact with over the past few months, and I feel like I've had him on. Every time he's talked to Richard Young, I've had him on and talked a little bit about Richard Young and just sort of where things stand in his recruitment. But you got a chance to see him. So I don't know that Mark and I have talked a lot about like scouting reports with Richard Young. So give us a little bit of a scouting report on, the guy that's the 5-star running back out of Florida who Ohio State's feeling pretty good about. If they do get him eventually, what would they be getting?
Yeah, the game film is just off the charts. I mean, my God, he's got speed and explosion and change of direction. And then, we saw him at Ohio State this summer, and he's much bigger than he looks on film. And a lot of times with running backs, that can be the opposite, where you see a guy listed at 6'1", 195, and you see him in person and he's 5'11", he's probably 185, doesn't really have the frame to fill out. I mean, Richard Young looks like a man right now, so try to envision that speed, that explosiveness. And we watched him catch the ball at Ohio State, and very impressive, great hands, ran good routes. He's got the body and the girth, to really be a heck of a blocker. You're not going to use that guy as a blocker all that much. We watched J.K. Dobbins for 2 years. He swung and missed every single time in pass protection. So, you don't want those guys blocking all that much, but you got to be able to pick up a linebacker. Note to J.K., you have to do that with the Ravens too. You haven't done that there either. But Richard Young, tough kid. There's nothing not to like about him. He would, in every category I would grade a running back, he would get the A+ check mark in all of them. So, and I think they're getting him. I think Tony Alford has done an amazing job with Richard Young. I think there's a connection there. I know Clemson's chasing him, Alabama's chasing, everybody's going to chase him. But I think, man, he's made trips to Ohio already, and I think they're going to get him. I really do. I don't see any game player in him as a Florida kid. We'll see, because sometimes they can grow into being game players when they're in Florida. But I don't think so with Richard Young. I think right now Alford's in the command position, and I think they're going to get that kid. And I think people are really going to like that kid when they see him in college.
There was some concern among the Ohio State fan base a couple of years ago about Tony Alford's recruiting, and is he not getting these guys?
Yeah,
he basically had Bijan Robinson before Bijan Robinson's family, pulled the ripcord. That one wasn't on Tony Alford.
And that was the killer. He spent so much time in Bijan, and I mean, he had him. That one was done. And so what you do is when you put all your eggs in that Bijan Robinson basket, and you've got him. There was a point in time in June where it was a done deal that he was coming to Ohio State. Well, at that point, you've lost all those relationships with everybody else, because you're getting Bijan. You've worked your butt off for Bijan, and all of a sudden the rug got pulled off from under you, and then you start over. And so he goes and gets Henderson and Pryor, So I think Tony's great. I think he's a heck of a human being, number one. I've never met anyone, going back when Tony was at Notre Dame, and I knew Tony's brother, Aaron, who's passed away tragically. Aaron used to coach at Akron. I knew Aaron before I ever even heard of Tony. And you could just tell the type of people that they are. So Tony Alford's a great recruiter. Don't worry about that. Yeah. I mean, this is going to go on forever. He's going to be grabbing great running backs.
Yeah, I mean, you after Bijan Robinson, you end up with the consolation prize of Mayan Williams, who, by the way, might be the starting running back this year. Right. And then in 2021, you get Evan Pryor, and you also get Travion Henderson, who we've had Nevada on this week to talk about. Travion Henderson. It sounds like there might be something intriguing there. And then you've got Dallin Hayden for next year, and then potentially Richard Young for 2023. That running back room might be okay for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It might be time to stand down on the Tony Alford recruiting concerns. Is I think my big takeaway there.
I believe so.
And there was a lot more that Bill wrote about in his bank blog on our Ask the Insiders board this week, including insights on a premier defensive lineman and a possible change in how likely he is to become a Buckeye. So you can sign up today at BuckeyeScoop.com to access that and much more. We also, that's one of the great things you get if you're a Buckeye Scoop member. You also get access to some fun perks, some fun opportunities. Bill and Kirk Barton just did a golf outing up in Youngstown, invited a bunch of our Buckeye Scoop members. I mean, I just saw pictures. I saw the post-event Q&A video that looked, it looked like an awesome time. Just, what was that golf outing like to just get to hang out with some of our Scoop members up there? Yeah,
it was a great time. It really was. We had over 20 members. We were at Youngstown Country Club. One of our founding members of the site, David Pinterick, who is really more than just a subscriber. I mean, David is such close to Kirk and I and all of us, and kind of guided us in the beginning, when we had our original meetings of, putting Buckeye Scoop together. David was involved in that. Successful businessman, trusted advisor to the Scoop, I would say. He put it on. He bankrolled it. He financed it. It's his country club. He belongs there. And he was thrilled to have us all out there. And I love meeting our members. You see these guys with their little made up scream names, but then when you can put a face to Buckeye 29 or, OSU forever, when you really meet them and hang out with them and see what quality people they are. I mean, that was the great part of that for me. I mean, we had over 20 of our members there, and every single one of them were just super individuals to hang out with. So one of the, I've been in this business over 20 years doing this stuff. That was one of the best days I've ever had in this business. And we had a blast. When I can combine golf and football and good people, that's a great day for me.
And if you are a member of our Buckeye Scoop site already on the Ask the Insiders board this week, you've seen Nevada asking questions about, hey, you guys free on a certain day coming up this week or this month? There might be something going on. Bill and I know what's going on. You guys will know what's going on in about a week or so. But the only way to get access to that event, it's going to be a cool one. The only way you'll get access to that one is if you're a member of BuckeyeScoop.com. So sign up today. In addition to all the fun free event, the fun events and all the other cool perks like Nevada giving away football tickets or Blue Jackets tickets or whatever whatever other giveaways we're doing for our members, and all the free events or the fun events, you get Also access to our wonderful team of insiders, all sorts of great inside information from practice. Nevada had yet another practice report yesterday from, we didn't even get inside practice on Thursday. Don't worry, Nevada has guys. He is, even when we're not there, Nevada has guys. So he has lots of good inside information from what happened in practice on Thursday. And then we'll be back there today to give you a whole new look inside practice, photos, videos, interviews, analysis, all that coming up today at BuckeyeScoop.com. Also, do make sure you check out all of our great podcasts. They're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. You can get our podcast. Just search Buckeye Scoop to find those. And finally, YouTube.com/Buckeye Scoop. If you're watching this on YouTube, just hit the subscribe button at the end of this video, and then you'll get notified every time we post a new video. We have been streaming all those interviews with players and coaches live this month, so you can watch them live. We're also pulling little clips, and hey, when someone says something interesting, we'll just pull a clip of just that soundbite. If you don't want to sit there and listen to the whole 20 or 30-minute press conference, we'll make it easy for you. We will give you the whole book. We will give you the cliff notes. You just choose whatever you want, but it's all at youtube.com/Buckeye Scoop. That'll do it for today. Thank you guys for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.